So this is a patch called Drum. Yeah, after 7 years of naming patches, sometimes you just name them Drum. Um, so what it is a two-voice drum synth. On the left-hand side, you have one of those voices, and on the right-hand side, you have the other. The left-hand side is made up of 6 ring modulated or XRO'd uh, XR, X cross modulated um, sine waves. So it creates sort of metallic tones. If we change the mix all the way to the ring side, we get sort of bell stuff. If we put it all the way on the XRO side, so in between we can get a mixture of the two. We have control over all of the oscillator frequencies, so we can play around with these if we want. I'm not going to, but you can, and I encourage you to get some different sounds out of this. And those frequencies go into the negative because really low frequencies can do some interesting things when you modulate them in this way. There's a filter on that side with resonance, and then an envelope with attack and decay. And you'll find an attack and decay envelope also for both voices in this aux envelope, which is triggered at the same time. And you can use to modulate parameters. There's a little modulation matrix at the bottom here. So to primary oscillators would just have that affect the pitch of these two oscillators. To all oscillators would affect the pitch of all the oscillators. You can modulate the mix between the XRO and the ring modulation or the filter frequency. So you have opportunities to get kind of modular in your approach to the patch. You can get some really crazy sounds out of this, as well as more digital percussion sort of sounds. The other side is a snare. And across the top is controls for the membrane, which can be either noise or an oscillator or a mixture of both. And you can choose the mix, and you can tune the oscillator, get the membrane tighter. And then there's a transient made out of noise that we have a decay envelope for. And a snare filter for the snares, and a separate decay for the snares. And then a resonator for the tonality. I forget exactly what this does, to be honest with you. I made this patch a couple years ago. But yeah, it sort of shapes the harmonic content. We have, this is sort of the cue. For a filter of some sort that's doing something. Again, I made this patch a couple years ago. And we once again have an auxiliary envelope that goes to a few different places. Then on the bottom, there's an effect send. You can send both of the voices. I should point out that it's dual mono, so everything comes out the same from both outputs. But there is an effect send that you can send them to separately that operates in parallel processing, and it puts them through a distortion and an aliaser. So particularly with the aliaser, we can make things kind of lo-fi. Nice and crunchy. And we can send the drum all the way or just a little bit. So the effect send is, I think, a nice option for adding some different qualities to this. If you load the patch on a ZBoo, you'll have inputs for each of the voices to be triggered separately. There's also a MIDI page labeled MIDI, and I've labeled each of the outputs so you can set the MIDI if you want to use a MIDI source or a sequencer. It responds to MIDI, it responds to CV, it responds to stomp switches, it responds to, since I'm showing things that it responds to, just so you aren't surprised, it responds to the pad, because I originally built this on ZBoo and I didn't have stomp switches, so I wanted something to trigger it with. Anyhow, that's drum, which is again a 2-voice drum synth patch. Thanks for checking it out. Have a good day.